Hey there everybody, I'm here today with Nick Jackson. Nick is going to be helping me shoot our daily Riva instructional for our curriculum this week. Now the way that I'm going to lay out this video is I'm first going to show you guys just how to get into the daily Riva guard, what it is, how we use it, and some different grip options for it. Once we get the base foundation laid for understanding daily Riva, then we're going to start getting into our techniques. We're going to go into kickover sweeps where we take our opponent up and overhead. So that's going to be, so we got entries and what the position is, kickover sweeps. We're going to see how kickover sweeps can pair very well with side sweeps to create a dilemma. So side sweeps is the next thing we'll be covering. Once we have those done, we're going to look at some tripod sweep options when our opponent's pulling back and away. Those also pair very well with kickover sweeps. We're going to go over single leg sweeps where I sit up, come up to a seated position, hug around the leg, and I can go into single leg options. We're going to look at ways we can take the back out of daily Riva. Remember, since anytime we have outside control and we can take limbs across our center line, we can get to the back. And then we're going to look at transitioning back from outside position back to inside position so we can get back into our Ashigarami game and X-guard game. So hopefully you guys will start to understand the juxtaposition between inside position and outside position as we go through the series. Again, just to keep you guys aware of where we're going with this video, what is the daily Riva guard and how are we going to get into it? Kickover sweeps, side sweeps, tripod sweeps, single leg sweeps, back takes, and pummeling back to the inside position. All right, let's get started. What is daily Riva guard? Nick, stand up if you would. So we've been seeing over the course of the last, line up kind of at an angle here, over the course of the last couple weeks that we generally want inside position with our feet. I want my 2 feet inside his legs so I can punch through and go into Ashigarami. Or with inside position, I can also fit myself into the X guard. These are always the ways we like to work when we're able to get inside position. Now, as your partners are a little more naive, and when they go to engage with your open guard, they may just walk straight forward and surrender inside position to you. This is going to make it incredibly easy to start going into Ashigarami and X. But as you get good at Ashigarami and X guard, and as you develop a reputation as somebody who likes to get inside position and go into Ashigarami and X, your more skilled and more knowledgeable partners are going to look to steal the inside position from you. And when that happens, you need to learn to work from the outside position. So when I'm here, Nick, he steps to the inside. Now I've lost the inside position. When I go to re-pummel my foot to the inside position, Nick is going to connect knee and elbow together, and as I come over, he's going to kind of windshield wiper motion with this arm to force my leg back to the outside. So as I come up and over, he's going to force it. He's not going to let my leg back to the inside position, and I'm going to be forced to work from the outside. Now, when I'm in the outside position, let's rotate. I don't just want to have my foot dangling here. We never want to have our feet floating where he can start to pin or scoop underneath and start to pass them up over the top, things like this. So I want to find a home for my foot to hook into and make as many points of connection as I can. If you recall in previous lessons, when I'm playing open guard, I want to create 4 points of connection. I want to connect to Nick with my right leg, with my left leg, with my right arm, and with my left arm. When I have 4 points of connection, I now have enough connection to him to create good, strong off-balancing effects and go into sweeps. However, if Nick breaks all of my points of connection, he frees the collar, frees that, he peels and peels. Now from here, when he goes to engage and he goes to hit like a strong guard pass, I have no way to stop him and connect to him and stay aligned with my center line on his center line. So if we don't have points of connection, we're going to be defensive, defending our guard. And we're going to look to start establishing 4 points of connection. Once I have 4 points of connection, I'm ready to go to work. So back to daily Riva. Nick was leading with this leg. I'm going to make a point of connection with my right leg by hooking my shoelaces in like so. I'm going to take my leg behind his thigh, and then I'm going to make a sticky hook where I pull my toes back to my shins to hook on the hamstring. Nick, will you switch the legs so we can show it on the other side? So watch how my foot comes in, and I make a sticky hook inside the hamstring just like so. Now from here, my right leg is usually here as a distance leg. There's a few things I can do with it. I can post it in the hip. I can post it in the knee. I can post it anywhere from hip to knee. Now if Nick tries to pressure into me, I can maintain distance and I can keep his weight and pressure off me. Okay, there are other times where sometimes can go inside and start to look to make him take steps and off balancing them. But I generally play with the foot on the thigh. Now, switch your legs again. So from our De La Riva position, my right arm will often control the ankle. You can either control the ankle itself by gripping his body, or you can control the cuff. People used to do this a lot, people still do this a lot. The slight problem with grabbing just the ankle is Nick can turn away and he can kick this leg free, and then I lose the grip. So when you have somebody who likes to turn and kick that leg free, you'll often find it's better to control the cuff in these scenarios. Now when Nick turns to kick away, he can't get that leg away from me, and he's going to be forced to turn back into me and give me the De La Riva again. So this kind of sticks him in the De La Riva by controlling the cuff of the pants rather than the ankle. But they're both okay. Okay? So I got one point of connection here with my De La Riva. My second point of connection is oftentimes, my second point of connection is oftentimes this foot on the hip or the knee to maintain distance. That's the legs. The arms, I'll often control the ankle or the cuff. Another option that we'll get into later today is the straight cuff here is also a very good point of connection to have with the right hand. Obviously, this will do nothing to stop it from turning and kicking away, so this is a little bit more temporary, and can be done against people who are maybe either not very good, or if you have a plan and you know right where you're going, and you're not going to hang out here forever. If I hang out here forever, Nick may start to kick that leg away, and then turn, turn around, sorry. Just turn and kick it free, and then turn and face me again. Just leg free. Turn, good, and then turn and face. Yeah, exactly. And take away the De La Riva. One more time. So I'm here. So if he turns and kicks that leg, and he turns, and now I've kind of lost my De La Riva hook. Okay, so if you're going to use that grip, sometimes you like to either, hit something quickly, or get him out of balance quickly so he can't focus on freeing the leg, or it'd be used well against people who don't really understand how to free the leg here. Okay, so those are my points of connection there. Either here, or ankle or cuff. My left hand, I oftentimes like to have a collar grip of some sort. Either a cross collar, which is one of my favorites, or a straight collar. This allows me to control the head. Nick wants to be up in a good posture so he can go to work and be very mobile. If I can keep his head low, like so, he's not going to be quite as mobile as he could be if I were to let him get his head up and away. And now he's in a very natural, comfortable stance, and he can go to work. When I have that collar, he's in a broken stance, poor posture, and I have control of the head. I can start pulling his head around and off balancing him, etc. Okay? So that's the long and short of our basic De La Riva. Nick steps to the inside position, and I try to pummel in, and he's not going to let me pummel his leg in. So I find it at home as a De La Riva hook. My second leg monitors the distance by stepping on the thigh. My left hand, let's cover this one, the left hand will come up and I'll control either cross collar or straight collar typically. There is an option where you control the belt for De La Riva, or I'm sorry, for a berimbolo, but we'll come to that later. We're going to stand here now. And my right hand has a range of options. I can go ankle, cuff of the pants, or the cuff of the sleeve. These are all good options. So that's a reactive entry to De La Riva. We're going to talk about a proactive entry soon. That's reactive, where once again, Nick forced his way to the inside position, and now I need to just respond to what Nick did. And I'm forced to choose to go into De La Riva. Once you get good at De La Riva, you may very well rather pull it. You may rather have De La Riva than inside position. You may want to pull De La Riva rather than trying to get into Ashigarami and X guard. In situations like this, I'm playing a seated guard, Nick's engaging with me, I reach up and I grab that cross collar grip and I pull to make him take a step and square his stance to me. Now from here, going to my back, I have the inside position. Let's rotate if you would. I have the inside position here with my feet, just like when we were working our collar cuff bicep guard. However, rather than going into collar cuff bicep, from here I take my foot in the hip as a distance leg. My right foot comes to the outside, and I control the ankle, and we're right back into our daily Hiva guard, ready to go to work. So that's getting into the daily Hiva, okay? Collar, either ankle, cuff, or cuff, daily Hiva, and a distance leg. Now, let's get into our first attack out of the daily Hiva. Our first attack is going to be the kickover sweep. We're going to look at a couple options for the kickover sweep, and we're not going to dive too much into it because we're going to be studying the kickover sweep in depth next week, okay? The kickover sweep. One of the major marks as to whether or not you're going to find success with your kickover sweep is whether or not you can pull his head over your head. If his head's backing away, I'm never going to be able to lift him. I need to pull and get Nick's head directly over my head. Once his head is over my head, I can begin to lift, and I can start to take him over and sweep him. Okay? So however you get to the daily Hiva guard, maybe it's reactive or maybe it's proactive, it doesn't really matter. I reach up, I get my cross collar and my straight cuff grips. Now from here, everything is going to pull, everything, my arms and my legs. My elbows flare up to my shoulder line so that these two grips can start to pull his head and shoulders forward. My two knees are going to pull my chest so that my legs pull his legs and hips forward. And get him taking steps forward, okay? I do everything at the same time. I pull the upper body with my arms and I pull the lower body with my legs until we get that desired head over head position. From here, pull in. Once I get head over head, I'm going to use the sole of my left foot in the hip to lift. I can kind of balance him with my daily Hiva, and I can push up with my daily Hiva foot as well. Now from here, because I have this sleeve controlled, I want to cheat and take him in this direction. But I don't want to let this hand go to the floor. If I sweep, as I keep pulling with my hands, he can post and stop the sweep. So I want to take this hand in so he can't post. Now we're going to take him over that shoulder. And we come up and we land in a split squat position, ready to go through and pass the guard. So that's one option for the kickover sweep. Let's look at some others. Understand that my goal is to pull him forward. Right now I only have one hand on his torso, my collar grip, and the other hand's on the cuff, on the hand. So sometimes it can be difficult to pull him forward with only one hand on the torso. Sometimes you can get a stronger pull forward if I forego the hand and I establish a second grip up here on the torso. Now, if I'm here and Nick pulls back and away, this can be kind of hard to get him to come forward, especially when I only control one side of the body. We'll come back to that in a bit. But when Nick pulls back and away, and I reach up and I get this grip in the armpit, and he keeps pulling back and away, and I use these two grips to pull, setting two grips on the torso can often give you a much stronger pull forward and get that desired head over head position that you're looking for. Now in this scenario, I only control one side of the body. So Nick can pull the right side of his body back and away quite strongly. If he pulls that side of the body, it's very hard for me to pull him forward. Sometimes in this case, even two hands on the torso pull the right side away. Even two hands on the torso won't be enough to pull him forward. So oftentimes it's even better to control both sides of the body. So rather than a cross collar grip, you might opt to switch off to a straight collar grip. And now I can start to control Nick's right shoulder. And I could choose to do this with either a cuff grip, if this will be a strong enough pull. So as Nick pulls back and away, and he tries to pull the right side of his body away again, I have control of that side of the body and I can draw him in and get his feet up. If for whatever reason, Nick's pulling back and away and these grips aren't strong enough, I can also forfeit the cuff and I can put two hands on the torso. We're going to grip the seam that runs down the back of the sleeve right at the armpit, and now as Nick pulls strongly back and away, I can use my grips to draw him forward, getting his head right over my head and going into sweeps. Okay? Once I get up to this position, if I'm not controlling the hand, we've talked about situations where I control the hand and I take the hand into the center. But what if I'm not controlling the hand? Then it's going to be about getting his head and shoulders very low and his hips very high, almost let me turn him upside down. Okay? So when I'm here, and let's say he's pulling back and away, and this grip isn't giving me the breakthrough, I switch to 2 grips on the torso. He pulls back and away, I pull in, I get everything up. Now from here, I'm going to pull his head and shoulders down as I kick his hips up. So now even as Nick goes to reach for the mat and post, he can only post so high up, as much as he can, Nick. It's going to be hard for him to stop going over his hand, okay? So that's our basic kickover sweep from the daily Riva. So we've covered entries, we've covered the kickover sweep. Now let's get into our third topic for this video, which is going to be the daily Riva side sweep, where you sweep him out to the side over the edge of his foot. Now the side sweep works very well in dilemma with the kickover sweep, okay? As I pull Nick forward for the kickover sweep and he pulls back and away, that's a good time to go back into him and hit the side sweep. We're once again learning and looking at action-reaction, or the push-pull principle in this section, okay? So whether it's reactive or proactive, I end up establishing my daily Riva guard. Now, again, I have some weaker grips for the daily Riva guard. I'm only controlling one side of the body, and I'm controlling one hand on the cuff, only one on the torso. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say a weaker grip for the daily Riva guard. I misspoke. A weaker grip for the kickover sweep. These are generally weak grips for the kickover sweep, but they're very strong grips for the side sweep. Okay? So now I'm trying to pull Nick forward, but because I have weaker grips, he's able to pull back and away, and he'll often beat me in this scenario, pulling back and away from me. So as he pulls back and away nice and hard, watch how I can bring my shoulders up off the floor, and now I'm going to take his wrist, and I'm going to tuck it in here behind his hamstring. So my own arm goes over my knee, and his hand goes right behind my calf. As I do this, I'm also going to fall to my right shoulder. So Nick is going to pull back and away from my kickover, and I go here. And you guys see I'm already starting to get a little bit of an off-balancing effect as I straighten my legs. Now to finish it off, to get the finishing power, I'm going to take my left foot off the hip, and I'm going to post it to the floor as a drive leg. That's where all the power comes from. Now I'm going to drive off the floor, off my left leg, as I pull his head and shoulders to the mat. If I don't have this leg down, I just try to pull, and Nick back steps. I have no power. But if Nick does the same thing and I get power using my left leg on the floor, go ahead and back step again, I pull, and I can jump him down. Now it's just a matter of scissoring my legs and coming on top. We come up into our split squat position, ready to pass the guard. Okay, so that's one option for the side sweep. This is a very, very strong sweep. This is one of my favorites. Okay, so again, he steps in, I control the daily Riva, like so. Nick pulls back and away, I tuck the arm behind my calf, I fall to my right shoulder, and my left foot drives to the floor, and we come up. Let's look at another variation of side sweep. You can do this not with a drive leg on the floor, you can also do this with your feet and the hips. Okay, let me show that. So Nick comes in, I get my grips. Now you could do this with a cuff grip, and you could also do this with a grip on the ankle. Gripping the ankle will leave Nick's hand open to plant, so you got to be a little wary of that. Good athletes will post on the hand and keep their hips off the floor and fight you. I found that if I continue to drive and push through the side sweep, sometimes I can break them down off their hand and down to their hip. Anyway, so I'm here. I'm trying to pull Nick forward for a kickover sweep. Nick's pulling back and away and go down to the cuff. Now another thing I can do is as I go down to my right shoulder, I can just straighten my legs, and I can use my 2 legs to kick his hips. So as I'm here, Nick's pulling back and away, and he's going to try to keep his balance. As we pull down to the side, I straighten my legs, and I knock him down like so. One more time, Nick. So I get my daily Riva, Nick pulls back, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to start straightening my legs, dumping him down to the side, and once again coming on top for my sweep. So without Nick on me, I'm taking my 2 legs, one foot in the hip, the other is a daily Riva, and as I fall to my side, I'm kicking and straightening and taking his hips over in this direction. Okay? So that's our side sweep from the daily Riva. Next, let's look at the tripod sweep. We've covered the basic entry, reactive and proactive. Or reactive where I'm responding to him, and proactive where I take the initiative and I go out and I force him into a daily Riva situation. We've seen kickover sweeps where I get his head directly over my head so I can kick him up in the air and over the top of me. We've seen side sweeps when he's pulling back and away from my kickover sweep, and so I turn the direction, I push into him and come out to the side, and I take him over the side of his leg. Now we're going to go into number 4 of our daily Riva study, and that's going to be the tripod sweep. One of my favorites. Very, very simple sweep to hit, very beginner friendly. Let's check it out. So, daily Riva. I'm here. Now, maybe I'm going for a kickover sweep and Nick is pulling back and away and it's not working. Oftentimes, as I'm trying to pull Nick away and he's either pulling away or maybe he's thinking about trying to pass my guard and he's setting his grips and what have you, oftentimes people will forget about this knee-elbow connection. Do you remember at the top of the video, I talked about how if I can re-pummel to the inside position for Ashigarami, that'd be awesome. Like if I just go here and go, oh, she's great. But Nick, being a good grappler, as I come in, he's gonna keep my leg on the outside. Okay, he might even kind of turn his palm and grab my shin and kind of stuff it. Yeah, exactly, okay? So, the tripod sweep is tough to do in scenarios like this. But as you're working your kickover sweep, as you're working your side sweep and taking him back and forth and throwing off his balance, and as he's thinking about passing my guard, people will often forget about this issue. They'll forget to keep the leg on the outside, and that's where the tripod sweep comes in. So as I'm trying to pull him back, and he's pulling back and away, and he's doing whatever, I might take my foot from the outside and step right in the hip, just like so. Stay right where you are. That's actually a good view for the sweep, Nick. So right here, I take my right foot off the daily Riva, and I put the sole of my foot into his hip. Now my left foot comes off the hip, and I make a hook right here behind the knee. Some people like to go here behind the ankle too. I leave this up to you. I like the knee, personally. Now the big key to a tripod sweep, what everyone does wrong is they just push. If I just push, Nick can step off my hook. Okay, one more time here, we're gonna take a nice good high step with that. I'm gonna push, and I lose it, okay? The reason he's able to do that is because he can put all of his weight on this foot. So when I hit the tripod sweep, my goal is not just to push him back. My goal is to take this foot off the floor. Because that way he can't transfer all of his weight onto this foot and kick free here. So as I'm here, my right foot in the hip is going to start to push up into the hip, just to make this foot kind of light. When this foot is light, I'm going to take this foot off the floor. Now if Nick goes to step off my hook, he can't because all of his weight is on this foot. There is no stepping off the hook anymore. And we knock him down to a double-seated position. We know what to do from double-seated position. There's going to be a fight for top position. How do we make sure we win that? I bet Nick knows. Nick, how do we win that? Yes, I want to keep control of his ankle. So now when I go to get up and Nick goes to get up, and we go to both fight for top position, he can't put this foot down, and I can go down and put him back down to the floor. So that's our standard tripod sweep. Nice job, Nick. So we're here. Maybe I'm trying to go my kickover sweep. He's going back and away. Maybe I'm trying side sweeps and he's back stepping and it's not working. And now as he's trying to, pass guard, I take my foot into the hip. My left foot comes behind the knee, and now the whole thing is pulling this foot off the floor. Right now, if I just go to pull, his foot is heavy. I make his foot light by putting weight onto my right foot. Not with the intention of pushing him back, but with the intention of pushing kind of up at an angle, at about a 45-degree angle. When I push up, this leg becomes lighter and I can take it off the floor. Now if he goes to step off my hook, he cannot, and I put his butt down to the floor. Now when we go to stand up, I lift his ankle so he cannot get top position on me. Now, that's all fine and good, but what if your opponent does step off the hook? Well, now we can go into the reverse tripod sweep. So, when I get my daily Riva, and I go to my tripod sweep, and Nick steps off the hook, he's not just going to let me get my hook again. If he did, I could just go in and I could hit a second tripod sweep. But let's say he's controlling this ankle and he's not letting me get to the knee. He knows I want my hook at the knee and he's not going to let me get there. When he stops me from getting my foot to the knee, it's hard for him to stop me from also getting it to his hip. Okay? Let's rotate that. So I'm here, I'm at the knee, I go for my tripod sweep, and he steps off. So now I'm going to take my left foot into the hip here, my left foot replaces my right foot. Now my right foot can come off the hip. I'm going to punch it between my leg and his leg, getting on my right side, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to clip his ankle here. That's a reverse tripod sweep. When you're working with your partners, you can just kind of catch and push instead of down to their butt. If you want to get a good off bouncing effect, you can give a good push in the hip. When you give a good sweep with the leg, and when you do it both at the same time, watch how both his foot comes off the floor and he kind of falls with a little more amplitude. And you can get a good dramatic knockdown there as well. Okay? So one more time. I get my daily Riva. He pulls back and away, and I try to set my tripod sweep. He steps off the hook. So I replace my left foot in the hip. My right foot comes off and goes through, and I clip. And I put him down to the floor. Now from here, once again, we're in a double-seated position. There's going to be a fight for the top position. As I go to get up and as Nick goes to get up, I want to make sure I control his ankle so that I'm always going to win. Okay? So that's our basic tripod sweep out of the daily Riva and the reverse tripod sweep. So we've gone through entries, kickover sweeps, side sweeps, tripod sweeps. Next we're going to go into single legs, where from daily Riva I come up to a seated position, I hug onto the leg, and now I can stand up and go into single leg activity. Okay? So from daily Riva, Nick steps in. I'm here. I get my grips. Nick is pulling back and away. Okay, so I can't get him over for the kickover sweeps. As he pulls back and away, I drop my daily Riva hook, and I come up to a seated position. Okay, so back down. So I got my daily Riva, pulling forward, Nick pulls back and away, and I sit up. Okay? Let me do that a little slower, because I want to make sure I'm getting these small details to you. So as Nick pulls back and away, I drop my daily Riva hook. I may need to put a foot on the floor, because right now I can't sit up. His shin is in my hamstring, stopping me from sitting up. So I might need to scoot my hips away so I can come to a seated position. So when I'm here and I push Nick away, I might need to take my foot down to the floor and base my elbow or my foot and scoot away. That's fine. And I can come up to a single leg now. When I'm up on a single leg, I want to make sure I'm controlling above the knee. If I'm below the knee, just like an X-guard, Nick can turn and kick away with the knee, and I'm going to lose control. When I'm above the knee and Nick goes to do the same thing, it's hard for him to kick free. Even if he bends the knee, because I'm controlling in front of the knee, it's hard for him to get away. A couple other things. I also like to keep my head tight to the thigh. If my head's floating, he might wrap a guillotine. And now, things are going to go poorly for me. So I hide here. Now when Nick goes to wrap a guillotine, it's not quite as easy. Okay? Another thing, I post my hand on the floor to help me get up. But when I do so, I keep my elbow in tight to my body. If I flare my elbow, Nick can wrap a kimura, bring his left arm from behind exactly, and that'll start going in bad directions for me as well. So there's some vulnerability when you set up for the single leg. Okay? You want to make sure you can't kick away. You want to make sure you can't get a guillotine on you, so you keep your ear and head tight. And you want to make sure you can't get a kimura. So when I post, I keep my elbow in tight to my body, so it's hard for me to get that kimura. Okay? Now, from here, and when I post my hand, I don't post it for a long period of time. I post and I go. The longer my hand sits here, the more likely he is to reach down and grab that kimura. So from here, I post and I go. When I post with my left hand and my right foot so I can hip height, get my hips off the floor. And now my left leg is going to crash through his ankle to come up to this position here. Now from here, I can try to stay on my knees. I can put my knee in as a block behind his leg. So now when Nick goes to try to sprawl that leg away from me, it's hard. If I'm like this, sprawl, like back, hips down, legs back, yes, there you go. Go into that sprawling action. So if I come up and I'm not blocking his ankle and he sprawls on me, I might get flattened out underneath of him. So when I come up to my single, I sweep underneath and I block behind. Now when he goes to sprawl and kick that leg back, he can't. And now I just control the ankle, apply pressure with my head, and I come up with a single leg finish. You'll be able to do that to some people where you stay on your 2 knees and take them down. Some people, you're gonna have to stand up. So once again, I'm here, maybe I'm playing my kick over sweep and it's not working, he's pulling back and away, so I sit up. Another thing that I do when I sit up, and I literally just remember this by feel, I take my foot to the knee and I kick his knee away to stretch him out and to kind of push him away so I have an easier time to sit up. That makes it so I don't need to scoop my hips. So that's another option you have. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry, I'm just remembering that now. So I'm here. If I want to sit up to the single leg, we saw I could shrink away and sit up by posting my foot to the floor. But an even better option, and I'm sorry I only remember this now, an even better option is to push the knee and sit up. And I come up to my single leg, controlling the knee, head in tight, and then we're going to post and go to avoid the kimura. I post with my left hand, my right foot, hips come up, I'm underneath. Now, maybe he's harder to put down. I put the blocking leg in, I'm trying to take him down, but he's not having it. So from here, I'm going to stand like so. And we've seen in the past, we have a dump from here, where I step, back step, and apply downward pressure to get a takedown. We're going to look at another option though. Oftentimes when I'm here, once again, there's the same dangers of guillotines and kimuras and hook sweeps. He could pass my head to the outside, push my head to the outside, and go after a guillotine. He could reach over my head and lock a kimura on this arm, and that's going to go bad. He could also grab over my belt, and he can use this butterfly hook to elevate me. So as he sits to his butt, he can elevate me with this leg. He can sweep me, okay? So there are some dangers of sitting down in that single leg, in this position. So another option we have that doesn't expose me to hook sweeps and guillotines and kimuras is to go to a high single leg. So from here, my leg steps behind. My leg that's behind his leg steps deep. I kind of give him a bump, and I pull his ankle up, and I lock an Achilles grip. Now from here, to put him down, I'm going to reach over the top of his knee. I'm going to back step with my right leg. I'm going to pull this knee open and down. Now I would normally stand completely upright with this high single. Right now I'm standing kind of hunched over so I can talk to the camera because I think my head might be getting cut off. But let me show you what this would actually look like. Understand you might lose my head here, okay? So, I'm here, I force him to stretch out, I come up, and I'm up here. I'd be completely upright. Now from here I can grab over that knee, circle him down to the mat, then we have